watch be on our minds. May your watch be on our lips. Open our hearts to receive you, Lord. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to the crowd, I am the living bread which has come down from heaven. Anyone who eats this bread will live forever, and the bread that I shall give is my flesh for the life of the world. Then the Jews started arguing with one another. How can this man give us his flesh to eat? They said. Jesus replied, I tell you most solemnly, if you do not eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you will not have life in you. Anyone who does eat my flesh and drink my blood has eternal life, and I shall raise him up on the last day. For my flesh is real food, and my blood is real drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood lives in me, and I live in him. As I, who am sent by the living Father, myself draw life from the Father, so whoever eats me will draw life from me. This is the bread come down from heaven, not like the bread our ancestors ate, they are dead. But anyone who eats this bread will live forever. The Gospel of the Lord. Have you ever experienced that thirst where your mouth is absolutely dry and you just need to get a drink of water? And you can't think of anything else other than getting a drink of water. It just becomes all-encompassing. And it's something that we've all shared. We've all shared that kind of thirst. And we get really agitated when we can't quench the thirst for some reason. You know, we're lucky in Scotland. We just turn on the tap and we've got instant drinkable water. Many of our brothers and sisters throughout the world, that's not an option for them. Or the last time you were hungry. You know, when you feel real hunger, you just want to eat. You just want to satisfy this hunger. You need to kind of get rid of it. I've got a friend who often when we're out, he'll say to me, let's go and get something to eat. I'm starving. Now, whatever he is, he's not starving. You should see the size of him. But we don't have that kind of hunger that so many of our brothers and sisters throughout the world have, where their hunger is not satisfied. You know, when I'm hungry or when I've missed a meal and I know that I need a meal, let me give you a piece of advice. Stay well away. Because I get hangry. You know, hangry is a state of anger and irritability caused by the lack of food. Hunger induces a negative change in one's emotional state. I know what that's like. Maybe you do too. Or maybe you know someone that you love who gets hangry. Beware of hangry people. And the thing is we're small people. We can't satisfy our hunger or our thirst by eating tons of food so that we'll never be hungry again, or drinking enough water that we'll never thirst again. Our bodies are not made like that. We are small. We can only manage a certain amount of intake at any one time. And that's true of life too. You know, imagine if you had all the wisdom and all the experiences that you would have in your whole lifetime at the moment you were born. It's just, you can't imagine that. It would overwhelm our human capacity. We need to grow in stages. That's why God invites us to live day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. Because we gradually grow, and he knows that we have to go through various stages in our life, stages of different experiences in our life, before we grow in wisdom, before we grow as human beings. But we have got, all of us have got this desire inside us to fulfill something. There's something that we're longing for. You know, that desire in human beings has made us explorers. You know, it makes us go out to outer space to see what's there. There's a desire that there's something else that we're looking for. There's something else in our lives. You know, and we feel it as human beings in your own personal life. No matter how happy you are, satisfied you are, there's still always something that you long to be filled. And brothers and sisters, ultimately that longing is for God. We all, deep down, all human beings, long for God, long for the one who creates us. You know, St. Augustine said, God created us, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. St. Augustine is just saying that there is a deep, deep longing in us to find fulfillment. And sometimes we struggle to find that kind of fulfillment. And there is such a thing as spiritual hungry. And the problem with spiritual hungry is that we try to satisfy this deep, deep down desire through other things. You know, we might do it through fast living, fast food, fast cars, convenience, comfort, and the right to complete freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want. That's consumerism. And we spend lots of time, lots of energy, lots of our treasure to try and satisfy that inner hunger. And often we do it in things that will never satisfy, that will never complete us. But we keep thinking, well, if I do the next thing, that'll be fine. How many times have you gone on holiday? Desperate to go on holiday. You work up for it, you pay your money, you spend ages thinking time's moving really slow, and you go on holiday and you have 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks of your life, and then you come back and you long for the next holiday. You know, that it hasn't worked. It hasn't satisfied that hunger within you. We hear in the book of Proverbs today, "Come and eat my bread and drink the wine I have prepared. Leave your folly and you will live. Walk in the ways of perception." You know, that's a scriptural fancy way of saying, come and celebrate in the life of God. He will provide what you need to satisfy you. Another way of saying that would be this: stop thinking that your life will ever make sense if you fill it with piles of stuff and forget the one thing you need the most: closeness to God and closeness through God to everyone and everything else. You know, we need God more than anything. It's in God that we will find our fulfillment. And Jesus talks to us today about that. He says, He gives us the gift of bread, that's his flesh, of wine, that's his blood. He says, eat my flesh and drink my blood, and you will have life in you. He's saying to us that just as he receives his fulfillment and his energy from God the Father, so if we turn to him and are fed with him, with his body and his blood in our flesh, then he will feed us and sustain us. That he will satisfy our deepest hunger and our deepest thirst. If only we would let him.